Yeah! You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are Robre family. How's everything? Single one of you today is NXT time, so we're going to be talking about all WWE. A pretty good show, Jean-Paul. 2 tag team championship matches, and we got a lot of new build-up. Like different storylines are starting to come out of like this episode, and actually the next 2 weeks are going to be very crucial for what it is, like the North American Championship and the NXT Championship. So pretty interesting NXT, good stuff on there. Main event time, we had the girls defended like the tag team championship. Sasha and Bayley returned to the land that made him famous, NXT. So what do you think, Mr. Leck?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. I mean, you watched the Dynamite review. Clearly, I wasn't too hot on that. I definitely think NXT had the better show this week, and it might not have been the most exciting show, but like you said, the next couple weeks, it's building towards something that's going to be really good. So that I'm excited for. And like you said, the main event was actually a little bit disappointing. It wasn't that I thought the right women won and all that, but I guess I was thinking it was going to be a little bit better of a match, but it was still a solid show, like I said.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So thank you so very much for watching every single one of the shows. Don't forget, AEW Dynamite review is already up. Like a lot of things, Ricky Starks debuted it. Abaddon, that's what it is.
Yeah, Abaddon, yeah, whatever. The zombie demon lady, Finn Balor's stepsister.
Omega and Paige retain. Jericho and Cassidy, like Jean-Paul said, confirm at Fyre Fest. They're going to be tearing the house down because Le Champion and Freshly Squeezed are pretty good wrestlers. So we're excited about that. But like I said, go watch that video because today, this time around, is actually NXT. And NXT opens up, Jean-Paul, with Imperium. Marcel Valter, Fabian Agner against Breezango. Pretty funny entrance from Breezango because they were reminiscent Imperium, and Fandango had the Fabio like a wig on, so like pretty good.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I was laughing, and that's like these guys. I mean, what we saw in the match here, it's like you knew they weren't gonna win. You just like watching it like storyline. You're like, they're probably not gonna win, but it's like, damn, I really wanted them to win though.
Yeah,
like, and I think they will at some point, but it's like. You just got to love their humor. Like, their humor I like because it's the humor, and then when the bell rings, they're all business.
Yeah, like, it's a good match, and like you said, up to, like, the bell, it's like, they're goofy, like, for example, Fandango with the Fabio look, and, like, kind of dancing, but as soon as, like, the bell rang, then it's like, okay, let's try to go in those titles, and they produce a really decent match. Of course, like, they had to be interrupted by, like, the people from Oni Lorcan and Birch.
And
all of them like it came out like there was like a lot of confusion, very similar to what AEW is going around, where like all the tag teams coming out.
Yeah, that I didn't.
This one was done a lot better, though.
Yeah, at least it was done because the heels were teaming up with the heels, and then the faces were teaming up with the faces, and like it was the people who we knew were heels and knew were faces. Where on AEW, you don't know who's what. So they came out here, they caused the confusion. I was kind of hoping that the ref would have rang for a DQ, so then we would have saw this match again, and then that's when Breezango maybe would have, won the titles. But, the ref, it was just like, so...
Yeah.
And then I think...
That allowed a distraction.
Yeah, and then I think Fandango, he got like a DDT or something.
Yes, and that's how like they kept the championships. Kind of like in the fashion, kind of like a bullshit way for me, a DDT. If it's not the snake, I don't believe it's a really DDT, like lethal, but they kept the titles, but you see like there's a lot of depth now. It took a few weeks, but now NXT has a lot of tag teams. And actually after that, we kind of see like a possible tag team that could be formed in the future because like pretty much after that, Tom Phillips was interviewing the Velveteen Dream, and the Velveteen Dream was just pretty much saying, hey, I'm going to try to still pursue, the NXT Championship. I haven't forgotten about that. But then we see Dexter Lumis from the from the back, like regular showing up, and then he just puts a drawing from like the Velveteen Dream and him winning the tag team belts. So that the Dream is like, hell is this crap? And then he's like, well, thank you for Dexter Lumis. He's like, it's legit. He's like, I help him out. You help him out. So we're even. He's like, but the Velveteen Dream is a solo act. And then he leaves, kind of leaving like the drawing right there. So either two things can happen. What Jean-Paul already mentioned before is like these two are like going to end up feuding. And this might be the trigger, because with Loomis is like, I want to team up with you and you don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how they get them to a feud, that's a bullshit thing. I don't know why Dexter Loomis. I kind of didn't like this because I was like, I don't know. I mean, if Velveteen Dream would have cut a promo saying how much he hates the Undisputed Era and this and that, it's like, oh, Loomis probably hates them too. And then that's why they team up to take down Undisputed Era. But it was nothing like that. I don't know why Loomis wants to be in a tag team when he's like a monster on his own. So, I mean, it's like, why would you go after those belts? Why wouldn't you go after the other belts? But obviously, he wouldn't make sense storyline-wise to do that. So, I guess this is what they have for him. I mean, hey, if it's another team in the tag division, go for it. But I don't want to see two singles guys win the belts. I want to see the belts on legit tag teams.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know what, like, it's probably, like what you said before, they're going to have them to have a match, the feud over this, because the Dexter Loomis is going to get, I guess, annoyed and upset about this whole thing. So I think that's how it's gonna that's how it's gonna take him to do this thing, Jean Paul. So let's go to like a guy that he was coming back. We haven't seen them in like during the whole pandemic. Killian Dane going against the guy that wants to live forever is the Damian Priest. We've seen this match before, so I was like, the only thing I would say about NXT, the match quality, it wasn't that great of a show. Storytelling is always legit, but of course, there's like, for example, we've seen this before. Where were we seeing this again?
Yeah, I liked the match. I mean, like, you know, it wasn't a bad match. But again, you know, we've seen it before, so it wasn't anything new, anything exciting, especially because of, I felt the outcome. You're bringing Killian Dane back, and it's like, okay, legit. We haven't seen him in a while. I kind of popped when I saw the intro. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is like sanity. And I'm like, wait, oh, no, the only one who's still employed is Killian Dane. I'm like, oh, shit. So, well, I think Alexander Wolf still is. But,
yeah, he still is, but of course in Europe, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh my, like, this is awesome. You know, I actually popped a little bit, and I'm like, oh, you know, they're selling the angle. Priest is injured. They have history. Give Killian Dane a win over Priest. Priest is pretty much babyface now at this point, so babyface can afford to lose. A big monster heel coming back, you know, and I'm going to make the comparison like him to Vader. He comes in, and you're like, oh, shit, look at him, and then loses. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. And you're like, okay,
Mastodon.
now, like, yeah.
It's not the Mastodon. It's the Mastodon Vader, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so that's... you know, he should have won here, and I think him coming back after a long hiatus and losing, you know, I'm like, okay, now what for Killian Dane?
Well, the guy, we know that, like you said, today was the burial, so like he doesn't have a way out. He's never going to be portrayed as like even as a credible singles guy, despite like his ability and despite his like size. But unfortunately, he's not in the eyes of like everybody, because there's a lot of guys. I mean, I think AEW has a lot of more guys, but like NXT has enough guys to have in the mid card and in the main event scene. But unfortunately, he happens to lose one reckoning and done. So like you said, good match, but I've seen it before, and I'm like, what's the point of this? The only point of this was like Robert Stone was like kind of like, I don't know if he was stoned, but he was still like,
he was definitely drunk the way he was
sleeping, you know, in the performance center, of course, storyline, and he's like, oh, like 30, he hasn't got a shower in years, so actually Killian Dane goes and beats him up.
Yeah, he's like leaning up against like the plexiglass, and I think Daney like smacks it, and he goes flying, and it's like
the plexiglass.
And I love how the commentary team is laughing. Like, this guy is drunk, he's clearly sad, depressed.
The only one that wasn't too bad, it was Beth Phoenix, because Beth Phoenix like, oh.
Yeah, they're like, he's like drinking into a depression, and they're like, haha, loser. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on?
And you said it was the plexiglass or the Lexi Kaufman glass?
Yeah, well, either one you want. You know?
Yeah, I love. I
know which one you want to be slapped up against.
But Jean Paul, let's go really quick. We're gonna hear some words from Santos Escobar. I gotta admit that, like, I didn't know that was his name on Impact, because that's what it was.
Oh,
Santos
okay.
Escobar, like, is his character. Escobar, of course, you know, drug dealers. Okay. Thank God my last name is Escobar, because everybody will think that.
Well, that was under the time with Jeff Jarrett or them. I'm not surprised that those Southern people go Escobar. Yeah.
It's like, how can we make you like the most lethal drug dealer of all time? Oh yeah, let's use your name as Escobar. But you know, so like we're gonna hear some words from them, and then we're gonna have a Xia Li against Aaliyah. Again, we've seen this before.
Yeah, we've seen this before, and I'm not upset with the fact that Aaliyah won because of the way she won. I mean, we'll just go through. The match was a very long. Xia Li, I think, is legit. Like, legit, you know, strong kicks. You know, when she hits somebody, it looks like it legit hurts. But then Robert Stone came up on. Well, then Aaliyah actually brought him out.
And some guys, so yeah, he came out.
Yeah, she kind of like carried him out because he's like drunk and all like, and even Tom Phillips said he looks like Weekend at Bernie's because he's all like the dead body. But he gets up on the apron and he pretty much vomits in the ring, and Xia Li is like, ew, like freaks out, sidesteps.
Everybody's like, yeah.
And then Aaliyah rolls her up, and then this is the only part I have a problem with is I don't think Xia Li thought the match was supposed to be over because she kicks out. And then Aaliyah awkwardly just rolls her up again. And then I think the ref leaned down and he's like, no, like, this is it. Like, this is the ending. And then it was like 1, 2, 3. And it was like, I'm fine with them continuing the feud because there's just so much women. And it's like, you got to do something with them. And if it eventually gets Xia Li over and does something, because the Robert Stone brand, I thought you could have did a little more with it. Now he's just like a drunk gimmick. And it's like, okay, that's funny, but you got to, again, do something with him. So, I mean, I'm fine with it in, like, you could say the mid-card for the women. But, I mean, it wasn't anything exciting. It wasn't anything I'm going to want to ever rewatch or, whatever. Yeah. So, if they don't continue the storyline in a legit way, then I'll be like, okay, this is kind of bullshit.
It's kind of like, for example, like, I wish that, like, they would have kept adding more women because it would have worked a little better. Now, with Chelsea being out, like, Chelsea firing him, that made him lose.
I mean, the one thing I will say, though, is who knows, that might not have been Triple H who said, okay, Chelsea, see you later. Vince could have been like, I want her, and then that screwed up the whole storyline.
And of course, Triple H is like, so no.
Yeah, he might have wanted Robert Stone to have Chelsea Green, Aaliyah, all these people, and then they're like, nope, we're calling them up.
Yep. So this is true. So we'll see what happens with like these girls, but like again, I've seen this before. So for me, I was like, something different is Timothy. Like he's actually teaching people how to do submission moves. Yep. So like that was like pretty legit. Like he's like, oh, Fuji got an arm bar. That's how you put it. You put her around the arm and then the shoulder and then and then it's like the double wrist lock. So like that was cool. And like he's pretty much teaching people how to do submission holds. And next week the real work begins. So interesting.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a wrestler, but at least he's showing a little bit of personality for me.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the personality. We definitely know he's a wrestler, a legit shooter. But, the vignettes, it's like we already saw him wrestle, so why do we need vignettes?
Yeah.
Maybe they're just saving it for maybe somebody's going to be returning or debuting who's going to feud with him. I don't know what they're doing with it. But like I said, usually the vignettes come before the debut. He's already wrestled a bunch of matches. So, I mean, I'm fine with one next week, but give maximum 3.
Yeah,
if they do more than if they do a 4th one, then I'm gonna be like, okay, now this is like Eva Marie bullshit. Like, how many video packages are we gonna see?
I don't care for this, and absolutely right. So hopefully, like that, they start having matches with him.
Yeah, because like I said,
could easily be a mid card. We'll see. We'll see where he can go. Maybe like the theme of it is like they're trying to push the fact that like he's a submission specialist, and that's why he's focusing on that. Like I'm gonna win every time I'm gonna make somebody tap out.
Yeah, so and to me, the only guy who like a legit feud would have been Matt Riddle, and they literally blew that in like.
The Bro is actually gonna debut this week on SmackDown.
Yeah, so and do you see how they already changed his gimmick? How he's just Matt Riddle. Now he calls himself Matthew Riddle. Like, he changed his Twitter to Matthew, and he even said on SmackDown when they had that promo, he's like, Matthew Riddle. And I'm like, oh. So now we're going to have to hear Matthew. Like,
oh, my God. Like, there you go, main roster. Like, if you don't believe what we say as
and you might be like, oh, why is it such a big deal? And it's like, Matthew, that kind of sounds maybe distinguished. Who's not to say they don't have him coming out wearing a dress shirt with the flip-flops and be like, oh, now he looks like a frat boy.
It's not going to be the same, so, yeah. So, he's going to need a little bit of what Roderick Strong needed it, and he needed undisputed therapy. So, like, you see Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, they're talking. They're like, that he's done. He's like, we got to help him out. Bobby, what do you think? He's like, he's done. We got to do something about it. So he comes out, Roderick, what's up, dude? And like, woo, woo, woo. He's like feeling so.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, he's so bullshit. They're like, he's
like, okay, let's go. And like, they take him through therapy. Then like, the therapist is like, he looked pretty much like Kyle O'Reilly. So I don't want to say if it was him or not.
Oh no, that was him.
Yeah. So like, I was like,
because don't you even see that like in when the later on in the thing when Roderick Strong's like freaking out when they show him the Rorschach pictures, and then I think O'Reilly, he like screams. He's like,
yeah, he's like, ah!
And then Cole looks at him and he's like go back
and
and
he's like,
oh.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't know what I was.
no,
I'm sorry.
I saw people online. They're like, "Is this Sami Zayn?" I popped for that. I was like, "That's funny."
Yeah, so like it was a cool segment because like they're showing him pictures like oh that's strong, yeah, that's you, and they're like oh that's it, oh that's Loomis, and then he's like we're gonna go back to the trunk, right?
Yeah.
And before he goes, he just takes off. That was really cool. I really
he's like I'm going. So I mean, yeah, like this. I mean, I thought it was
if
funny.
you have the Undisputed Era like this, I'm loving it. You know, I'm loving it. Yeah, so that's all I gotta say. Like because it was funny. It wasn't like the same. Oh yeah, you know, we're better than everybody else.
The only thing though I'm gonna say is with like I'm fine with them doing this funny stuff, but what we're kind of seeing towards like you could say towards getting the end of the show, not really the main event, but I think it's time for Adam Cole to lose the championship because it almost seems that it's like it's not even the main focus of like his like story stuff anymore with like Undisputed Era. You know, like the champion. I mean, just like lose it, give it to someone else. But
to somebody that is going to make the title more meaningful. But I mean, hey, you know, I'm not against Adam Cole still the champion, just because like at least this segment itself was not extremely funny, but it was funny enough.
Oh yeah, no, I still laughed. Yeah.
Yes. So now talking about that, Adam Cole is actually going to be interviewed about like Mackenzie or McKenna. No, Mackenzie. Yeah, F her. But you know, and she's like. Talking about Adam Cole, and then Keith Lee comes from the back. I kind of like that. A lot of times they did this. Like there's a wrestler all the way in the back, and it's like, okay, let me approach him. So Keith Lee comes right there, and he's like, hey, you know, I kind of like this. You know, I'm gonna go for that. It's not gonna be Karrion Kross. It's not gonna be him. It's gonna be me. So and then he's like TIK TOK, and then he breaks the hourglass, and that was really fun. I really like it.
Oh yeah, no, I like it, and I like what they're doing because it's like what were you going to do after Velveteen Dream for the main title and the North American Championship? Like Keith Lee is like, you know, he's a monster. Look at him. Who's going to beat him? The only person who you could say would beat him would be Karrion Kross.
Yeah,
and he was going after Cole. So it's like this guy's going to hold the belt forever. And now this is a perfect way to kind of like mix up that whole, you know, title picture.
Yes, and then also like he came out, he was cutting a promo, and the funny thing is, I don't know if you picked up on that, he called him like Killian Cross.
Yeah,
like not Karrion. Yeah. Karrion is like okay, all right. So like he's like saying that like
Killian's probably like that's the closest I'll ever get to a title shot.
It's like oh that's so legit. It's like yo Killian Dane, that's funny. And then pretty much he was talking about Karrion Kross, but then Keith Lee comes out, and Keith Lee is like, hey, you know, I won that, and he's saying, well, Adam Cole is like, I was the first North American champion. I was the first one. I was the best. So then Keith Lee comes out. So like they kind of go back and forth about like the championship. Then Johnny Gargano comes out. Hey, I'm the only Grand Slam champion here. And like, but well, Adam Cole, I think it is if you think about it, because Adam Cole was also like.
No, he said he's the first. He said he was the first.
But if you think about
Triple
it,
Crown.
Yeah, well, the timing of it. Yeah, timing of it. But like. You know, he right there, so he adds himself. Is like, hey, you know, and Keith Lee.
And I love what Keith when they talk about the match, and Keith Lee's like, oh, you know, what about like he's like, I care more about your wife than you do.
How's your wife doing? Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, when I picked up your wife, she said to me, oh, Limitless One. I can't tell you the last time I've been touched like this, or this is the most action I've gotten
that I had so far in the year. And he's like, oh, you shut up. Like, that was legit. That was pretty legit. I really enjoyed that line. Finn Balor comes out. So he's like, hey, you know, Keith Lee, the North American Championship is the only title that I never had. And it's not, you know, I'm not asking you for a shot. It's a warning. I'm coming after you. And when I'm done with you, I'm going with you. So like, and then Adam Cole is like, hey, you know, I broke your record. Shut up. You know, I don't care. So like, it's all this legit stuff, like inner feuds in between.
Oh, yeah.
And then we see, of course, Lucius Regal. We see William. And then, you know, of course, he always, that's the kind of like GM that you need in a show.
And AEW is missing that.
Yeah.
I think the AEW is almost, it's like an outlaw. They're like all this like Jesse James, you know what I mean? It's like nobody, they just do what they want.
Jesse James or just
Jesse exactly.
James? Yeah,
well, both. It's both, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's like, and so William Regal then kind of like already has a plan for all these things. Like, I love competition. I love the passion. It's like all of you want something. So we're going to settle that. The next week, triple threat match for the North American Championship. Gargano, Balor, and Limited one. The guys that gives more action to Candice than Johnny the whole time. Yes. Whoever wins, then next week, in 2 weeks, it will be against Adam Cole. And they're doing that. Why? Because, of course, AEW is going to have Fyre Fest. So that's why they're doing that to counter.
Tell me your Tell me your prediction for this triple threat.
Winner takes all. I will say, let me see.
Now, you don't need to tell me who's going to be 2 belts, but just who wins the triple threat.
I'm thinking Balor. I think Balor.
I think the story, and if I'm right, I'm going to be mad that they kind of took the long bullshit way to get there anyway. But I think Keith Lee's going to win. And then I think Karrion Kross is going to interfere in their title match because Keith Lee's the one that broke
the hourglass.
Yeah, which if that's the case, then you kind of just like got us all excited, thinking maybe we'd see Finn Balor with 2 belts or somebody, and then that would be the bullshit way out. But that's kind of what I'm smelling, unfortunately.
And I hope that's not what they do, but
no, I mean, because you could easily do something with like maybe like if Finn Balor wins. I mean, this would also be kind of... I feel like whoever wins the 2 belts has to immediately face Karrion Kross and lose one of the belts to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it will be probably the NXT Championship.
Yeah, because I'm like, what? Yeah, because it's like, what do you do? Like, you can't build Karrion Kross up, give 2 singles titles to one guy, and then him and Scarlett are like, so...
So we already did everything. So, and then we go to main roster within the first 2 weeks. So, you're right. So, like, after that, Jean-Paul, after that big announcement, because it's going to be a winner takes all. It's going to be whoever wins the triple threat.
But let me just say, though, I am super excited for these series of matches and all this. Yeah, I think this will be really good.
It's going to be good. So, like, then Candice approaches Keith Lee, and that's the funny part, because it's like, really? You just said that? And then he's like, and then right behind her is Mia Yim. So they keep going at it. So like you see that like probably they're gonna like have that match either next week or in 2 weeks from now. So they have like,
Candice was all like, "Why did you tell everybody my secret? Why did you tell her that I love being in your arms?" And also we saw
that Scarlett found the broken hourglass.
Yep.
It's like, okay, so you see, like you said, there's
that's what really, because until this, which it wasn't that long in between these segments, but until this point, I was going all in on Finn Balor. I'm like, no, it's going to be Finn Balor. It's going to be legit. And then I saw this, and I'm like, nah, it's Keith Lee. I'm like, Karrion's going to get, unless Karrion chokes out Keith Lee and gets inserted into the match, and Karrion has 2 belts. That's like the wild card.
So that's the interesting part. We'll see what happens. We'll see what path do they go. So let's talk about Kaden Carter going against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Pretty simple. Last week she faced Casey Catanzaro. So of course Kaden Carter was the one that showed up to aid, Casey. And now it's like they're.
Can I tell you what I think we're gonna see next week or in 2 weeks?
Oh, tag.
A tag match.
Tag. Yeah. So like, of course, this was really quick, and of course Dakota Kai ended up like choking out Kaden Carter. Did we think otherwise? No, because like she even said, I'm gonna go for the NXT Championship. So they're giving her wins, and of course they're trying to portray the idea that Raquel is the insurance policy.
Yeah. This is all I'm gonna say is. Unless, like, if they are building this up and the next woman to challenge Io Shirai is Dakota Kai, then I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
But if Dakota Kai if it's like 2-3 months away until she gets her title reign, then like, what is the point of all this? Or not title reign, but title opportunity.
I guess they're trying to give her some kind of,
I would say, like,
legitimacy.
Within maximum 3 weeks, she needs to be cutting a promo on Io Shirai face to face. Like the title, like the feud needs to start. But, I mean, we'll see. Like, Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, they're legit, but we say the women's division NXT is so deep, it's like you got to claw your way to the top.
And talking about depth, Mercedes Martinez got a promo right after this. So, like, there you go. Like, she's probably going to be inserted in some type of fashion during all these storylines.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely going to be feuding with, like, Raquel Gonzalez. But I'm happy to see this. This is long overdue. When I first saw Mercedes Martinez, I'm like, this chick looks legit. She looks like she can kick somebody's ass, like everybody's ass. Yes. And, and she's old. Like we said, we know she's not, like, the youngest, woman on that roster. So she got to get, her push sooner rather than later. So I'm happy to see this.
Yes. So like that, when we got then after that an enhancement match from Bronson Reed. He got Leon Ruff. That was like so rough that like it lasted probably 2 seconds. So it was like just the big splash or like a power slam and done.
Reed, tried to do Mango Splash, but
Yeah, but like fortunately, I think that like Bronson Reed is probably in the same league as like Killian Dane. He's like, we know you're legit, we know it, but we don't have enough time to make you look legit. So unfortunately, we're just gonna like have you in these little things
and
until
also,
your contract expires, and then you go to like NWA or AEW.
Yeah, and what was this? He called out Karrion Kross.
Yes,
and they said, this was because what happened before it? I don't know if I fell asleep during this segment one of the weeks, but did Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed ever interact? Because they said Bronson Reed was away for a while. So I'm like, when the hell did they interact?
I don't know where this came about, but like they're gonna have a match.
Yeah, because that's what he said.
Gave him this win, so he goes hot. So storyline hot against Karrion. It's just gonna be
I have farts that are hotter than him.
Do like Saido's and then the straight jacket and
done.
And then done. And talking about done, we're gonna talk about a guy that like was done as Hijo del Fantasma, but decided to go, like let's start selling drugs, because if you want to make money, what are you gonna do? There's two paths. Either you do porn or if you want to sell drugs. And maybe he doesn't feel enough to be a porn star. Hey, let's say sell drugs. So Santos Escobar, and they did finally what you always been asking. Hey, he started to cut the promo in Spanish, but they had the captions. I even learned how to do the captions, so I know how tedious it can be.
Triple H has always done that with Asuka, with like I don't know if he did it with Hideo Itami, I think, or maybe Hideo spoke English, but any person who couldn't speak, boom, he put it on there. I don't know why main roster can't do it.
Yeah, it's like, can you get the guy that get me?
Kevin Dunn might not be able to see over his buck teeth to type on the keyboard.
It's a little tedious, but I can see myself doing it. So he finally comes out. He comes out with a Joaquin Wild, Raul Mendoza, and he's talking about, hey, I was Hijo del Fantasma. I had to be face. My dad is the Fantasma. So blah blah blah. So when he came to NXT, he was going to close the book on the Hijo del Fantasma persona. So Escobar keeps going about how he's going to create the legacy. El legado del fantasma, legacy, and then it seems to be like that's the name of the staple. It's going to be El legado del fantasma, which Fantasma's legacy. Yeah, for the ones in a Spanish-speaking audience. So pretty much before he can say much more, Drake Maverick comes out and attacks Escobar, but then he can fight off Escobar, Mendoza, and but not for long because of course 3 against 1. And then the Snake Eyes came on the barricade, hit him with a monitor across the back, and Escobar hits Maverick with a Phantom Driver, and pretty much that's it.
Yeah, and then the Phantom Driver was through the table, and if you look at it, probably the back half of his neck hit the table, and then the rest of his neck and the head hit the concrete. The table mostly was eaten up by Fantasma's ass. So Drake Maverick essentially got the Phantom Driver
from Mr. Billy Gunn,
yeah. He got just Billy. Remember, he got the Phantom Driver just right on the.
Well, we're in WWE. We're allowed to say Billy.
Oh, okay, that's
legit. We
legit.
get fined for or flag. Yeah, the video gets taken down.
But So Drake Maverick, he's essentially got Stone Cold right on the freaking concrete.
Yeah, pretty much. So I guess I still don't see the legitimacy or how cool this can be because it's cruiserweight. If they bring more for example Kushida, if they bring this kind of guys that for me.
Well, I think Kushida will definitely feud next. I mean, they'll probably beat up Jake Atlas because when they were wheeling out Maverick, Jake Atlas was there. He was checking make sure he was okay, whatever. When they loaded him into the ambulance, so they'll probably kick his ass, and then the next person is. I don't know if they're going to do Isaiah Swerve Scott, maybe, but Kushida's probably going to be the guy who gets, the win over Fantasma.
Yes. So I think that's what happens. Is going to start happening next week or something. So, we get a lot of course, next week is Bronson Reed is going to be killing Cross or Karrion Kross, like we said,
whoever.
And then he's going to be Adam Cole. I got the same thing. So we're going to see that, and then we're also going to see Cameron Grimes going against Damian Priest because they kind of, like you said, have a mini feud right there. And of course, the red match.
Because I guess he slashed the tires on his car or something. It was he comes up to his car and he's like, boop boop boop, they're bleeping, he's swearing like hell, and then Cameron Grimes, let me call you an Uber, and then drives away, and it's like, okay, dude, you're just gonna get your ass kicked by.
And that's why I said, because I remember when they did that mini promo that Damian Priest was getting in the building, you could see from how far it was a Cameron Grimes. He's like, okay. So now jump on finally main event time, the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match. Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart going against, of course, the girls that put NXT on the map. Sasha, Snoop Dogg Banks, and Bayley those straps. So cool. Like you said, the match quality,
Yeah, I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of a lot of wrestlers, but I'm probably not gonna try to imitate their moves. Tegan Nox, I love you, but don't do the choke slam. Like, it doesn't, to me, it looks so unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I'm biased. I love her, so keep doing it, baby. Yeah.
Okay, well, like,
they say you keep doing whatever you want. But the one thing, baby, win matches. Okay, win. Okay, yeah, that's all I want. We know you're a bad cook, but at least be a good wrestler. So, but you're right. I mean, yeah, like I don't know if the whole idea of the match it was decent. The flow was okay, but I don't know. It didn't get me any excited at any point because they didn't make it climactic. They didn't make it like I mean, even at the end, they were going to be able to win.
Yeah, even at the end, like Bayley brought in the chair, and then you could just smell it. You're like, well, they're not going to lose the titles to them. Like, you just know, you just feel it in the air. Like, it's not right, it's not the time. And then, of course, Tegan gets the chair. Bayley, and the ref's like, Tegan, why are you being bullshit? Why do you have the chair? And then she's like, so. And then she reversed.
Shotzi from Sasha, and then Sasha ends up in position for the bank statement. So she
the one thing that was legit is Sasha was in that hold, and she had her arms like pulled back behind her. She was in that submission hold for a decent while.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when she reversed it into the bank statement, it's like 1, 2, 3, tap, tap, tap. It's like,
and well, that reminded me of WWE 2K19 because, of course, they hate 20 because we all hate 20. So, like, you see how the bar goes like, rip, like, and then done. And that was it. And then, of course, Sasha and Bayley retained the titles. Like you said, did we think otherwise? No. And I was under the impression that was going to be the end of the show. But then Jean-Paul said, of course, Io Shirai comes out.
Yeah,
he pretty much took care of both women.
Yeah, doesn't mean she came out. She like jobbed them. This is something like the heel tag team wins, and then Hulk Hogan comes out and kicks their asses, and then you're like, well, I don't buy this team no more. But instead, it's like you're the SmackDown Women's Champion, and it's like, oh, but shouldn't we love it? We're both fans of Io Shirai. It's like, yeah, but like we said, it would have been more legit if it was maybe like Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai chased them off.
Yeah, no, and then it's like, instead of like just one woman.
Yeah, because then it's like, one woman, and no offense, but Io Shirai's like 5'1", 5'2". Like, she's not like, if it was Rhea Ripley, again, that would be more believable to just be one woman. I think Rhea Ripley's like 5'11" or 6 foot, so she's tall, she's big. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's like, okay, but it was kind of a way to be like, they were the old, they were the first people in NXT. Io Shirai's the current champion. She chased them off. It's like, so this is my NXT kind of deal. It's a good way
for them to like just, hey, get the rough.
Yeah, and they're like a little bit kind of cowardly heels, so it kind of fits their character.
Yes, exactly. So that's pretty much what the show was. Very good, though. A lot of things. Like NXT, like we always said every week, they always give you a lot of things for you to watch. We have, like again, a championship match, a triple threat. We have Karrion Kross is going to be back. And we'll see, like, what happens with the Undisputed Era, what happens with Velveteen Dream, what happens with Kenny.
Yeah, there's so many different personalities and, like, really good characters and storylines on NXT that you can get yourself attached to.
Yes.
You might not like every one. You might be like, oh, the main event's bullshit. The women's division is bullshit. But you might love the tag team division and the cruiserweight division.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or vice versa, or any mix. There's so much stuff on here.
And then that's how it is on Raw Break. A lot of storylines, a lot of stuff going on. If you don't like Jean-Paul, then you like me. If you hate me, you can like Jean-Paul. We try to be diverse here. Because,
but we all know you love both of us, so it's legit.
And remember, all wrestling matters. Okay, so Jean-Paul, like, let us know like what our social media is, so people can actually go and subscribe and help us outgrow.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, The Original Rope Break, and you can find us on Twitter, The OG Rope Break.
So yeah, the family, please check all the videos that we have. We had tons of content, and of course we have even more content on the way up. And you and me, Jean-Paul, will meet each other, and we'll see each other for WWE Smackdown, Firefly Funhouse, The Fiend, or at least Bray Wyatt might be back, so he's going to be addressing Braun Strowman. We'll see what happens on that. Until then, Jean-Paul, there's only one thing that is left to say, and that is...